Hi everyone.
Our nerves are shot. We're fried.
It's day 14 of the Santa Ana winds. We've had wind event after wind event. The National Weather Service has called this a particularly dangerous situation. They never issue those warnings in many, many years. And the wind and the weather continue to wreak havoc in the garden and in Southern California.
So every day, every night, we're dealing with, is the power going to shut off? Is a fire going to start somewhere and we have to evacuate? It's unnerving. So we thought we'd take you along, show you what we're doing to prepare for this and how the garden's doing as well.
The crazy thing is the hills around our town are absolutely tinder dry and are very prone to fire. Haven't burned in about 10 years. So we're constantly watching for smoke, constantly wondering if a fire is going to spark, the hills are going to burn, and with the crazy winds we've had, the embers fly. And honestly, that's been my greatest fear and has kept me up at night, is the fear of a fire starting at any moment. The reason why the fire danger is so high is because we've only had 1/10 of an inch of moisture since June, and the winds just make everything crispy and dry everything out. You can see how these beans here are so windblown and the leaves are just absolutely crispy.
As far as damage goes, I will have to say that the fence has begun to lean in. I built the fence a little bit too tall and it just was like a parachute to the wind. Kim, come show this. So I had to prop these up. If you can see here, I'm gonna have to get some help on this. If it wasn't for these boards that I propped up, I really think the thing probably would have fell over. This is going to be on the repair list when this is all said and done.
Keep in mind, we've been dealing with 80 miles an hour or so wind gusts, which is actually hurricane force winds. So you can see why the fence is leaning this way. So you guys know how wonderful my Smart Pots deck usually looks. And again, we'd prepped it for a special Smart Pot shoot. The winds hit. I could not risk all this being damaged and us having to replant everything. So I covered it all completely in shade cloth, the front, the back. You can see this came undone last night in the winds. The plants survived really well under here, surprisingly enough. We're actually able to get the shoot done on one of the rare non-windy days. We have one more coming up this week, so fingers crossed. Now what happens in our area during wind events is the power company will preemptively shut off the power to prevent the down transmission lines from sparking a fire. So much of our community actually has been out of power for 4 days at a time. Now we've been lucky. We haven't lost power yet.
I have a generator on the standby, and a couple of times I've had this thing connected and wired up, ready to go. I run the wires in through a door and I clog up the door with towels so it doesn't get too cold. We'll run just basic refrigerator, some computers if need be, that type of thing. But we're on the standby. I have multiple propane tanks ready, and I can use gas in this generator as well.
The biggest casualty in the garden is this trellis right here. It kind of slid down the hill, but all in all, I really can't complain because so many people are suffering so much worse. It's really tough to deal with the conflicting emotions. Being on edge, the hypervigilance, but yet also feeling so badly for the people who lost everything. We actually did have a fire pop up in the hills surrounding us one night, and we were just on edge, just keeping an eye on watch duty, and thankfully it got put out right away. But you can imagine how being constantly on edge just really wears on your nerves.
I'm embarrassed to admit this next part, but we had no emergency evacuation plan whatsoever. Could you imagine that? No plan and having to evacuate? We'd be like chickens running around with their heads cut off, not knowing what we're doing. So we got a plan together. We prepared some bags, some suitcases, that type of thing with extra days clothing. We have designated bags for computer and special documents, and we slept a lot better that night.
I actually brought a lot of my plants we had set aside for our video shoots and my seedlings that we're hardening off indoors. So they're in our living room right now. Getting a little bit of light by the kitchen window, but you can tell it's just a mess too.
After having shot this video now, I kind of realized we are going through a lot. We are living on this heightened notice pretty much 24 hours a day for the last 2 weeks or so.
And we know a lot of you that live here in Southern California are probably also feeling the same way. It's a lot to take in. We're seeing it on the news. Many of us know people that have lost everything or lost loved ones. So please let us know how you're doing and know that we're hanging in there with you. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.